All right. So now we're just going to have a little bit of conversation. Let's give Rezzan a chance to kind of talk about herself, 412 Venture Fund, and I'll throw in a few questions. So
absolutely. It's an absolute pleasure to be here. My name is Rezzan. I'm a venture partner at 412 Venture Fund. We are an early stage venture capital firm based in Pittsburgh. We really focus on the sectors that Pittsburgh as a region is very strong at, including robotics, advanced materials, AI, ML, obviously, healthcare and cybersecurity. Before joining 412 Venture Fund, I was a partner at Drive Capital, and in both firms, my focus has been healthcare, life sciences, and AI, ML type of applications. How many of you are from a startup here? Okay, very cool. So I also once an entrepreneur. Before turning an investor, I was a founding member and chief operating officer of a company called Intelligencia, where we built AI models, actually before it was cool, to predict the likelihood of success for clinical trials and clinical programs. And it is really interesting at the time, and this is happening really 5 years ago or so, AI was still a mystified tool behind the doors, only available to some sophisticated data scientists. And here we are today. Remarkably, we all have an interface to AI. So the times have changed.
Well, speaking of AI, so how are you currently thinking about investments, AI investments, when a company says, hey, we're AI company? How are you looking at them? And just in general, what are you seeing in the market?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'll start with our portfolio. We have about a third of our companies making use of AI in some shape and form. And in fact, we are going to hear about one of them very shortly. So one example is using AI in customer intelligence and insights. Another example is AI-powered robots enabling high dexterity manufacturing. Another one is AI platform for sleep apnea treatment. So as you can see, all of these are very nuanced applications of AI in a very well-defined business problem. And that is pretty much my philosophy when it comes to, AI investments and in general, investments actually. So it is a big market, right? Broader AI market is very crowded, very noisy, a lot of buzzwords. So for an investor, it's very important to have a poignant and nuanced investment thesis and decide where they're going to go in that space and build a strategy towards that. Think about all the synergies with other portfolio companies. A couple of things I personally look for. Number one, is the company or is the product a solution to a specific real world use case, to a non-obvious problem? Are there customers already buying or willing to buy this product? And is there a differentiation which can be a novel algorithm, a model, architecture? It doesn't have to be that. It can be a curated proprietary data set that others don't have access to. And if you don't have either of them, you can also have a look at, smart ways to integrate to enterprise or other companies. But you really need to stand out of the crowd. Imagine as an investor, we see similar companies, hundreds of them, on a quarterly basis. So it is very important that we have the pattern recognition, and after some point, you need to say something that makes me think this is different than the 20 other pitches that I've heard.
Okay. Well, building off of that, are you seeing different types of startups or changes in the startups that are pitching you, and how are they maybe different?
Well, the change is so fast and dramatic that, it's been really hard to keep up, actually. So some of the changes, maybe to summarize in my head, are, so there's a shift towards what it used to be more predictive approaches, predictive tools. A couple of years ago, we had a lot of conversations around Gen AI, ChatGPT likes, and everyone was trying to do that. So those are more reactive approaches. And now, the conversation is more around, okay, how about autonomous AI? So that actually brings us to this conversation today. So there's definitely a shift. So we are constantly, staying on top of, what's the latest and greatest, but also making sure that the foundational models are built and everything is complementary. So for sure, there's a change. One good news is that since, maybe if I can compare to a couple of years ago, the pitches and the propositions became more mature, fine-tuned, more nuanced. So that's great. People are recognizing the need for this complementary offerings, Gen AI, traditional models, as well as how we can build the, autonomous tools. So yeah, but again, to my earlier point, these things can become a buzzword pretty quickly. So when it comes to, listening to the pitch, I really try to understand, is this a step function from the previous, generative technologies, or is there really a aspect of, autonomy, goal orientation, etc.? So, we are also trying to be a little smart about how we listen to the pitches.
Got it. Kind of building on autonomy or agentic, I guess, how are you even defining agentic AI, that space, and, how do you potentially categorize what you're seeing? Or, I think that's one of the questions everyone has, just how are you defining it?
Absolutely. And, selfishly being here is also an educational purpose for me, right? Because I'm also learning what everyone is defining it. So agentic AI is still an evolving concept, but the way I discern in my head is, I look for two things. Is this technology autonomous? Is this model autonomous? And the second one is there a goal that needs to be accomplished? Again, this is the contrast with, predictive models or, generative models that used to be, either reactive or, they would respond to an input, let's say. So those are the things that I look for. And we do see, pitches where, it's mostly, say, workflow automation or some use of some agents, but it may be still missing the, autonomous part. So again, as an investor, I really try to dig into, how the company is defining agent in their mind and, what is the differentiation that they're offering. But for me, it's really this agent, is it autonomous? Is it taking an action without the prompt? And in terms of, I think, and I am curious what everyone will say about the subject is, but I think the agentic AI is really the next leap that, we'll see profound efficiency and productivity gains across the board if it is implemented the way it's promised. So I'm excited about what's to come.
All right, great. Any sort of final thoughts or things you want to share?
Yeah, absolutely. So, since, we have a lot of startup representations here, if you are working on any of these fields, maybe just one thing to leave you with would be, just remember that, we see similar pitches over and over again. When you are building your model, really decide what is the business problem or real world problem that you're trying to solve, and how you're solving that, it differently. Is this a new model? Is this a new data set? Recently, I've actually seen a couple of examples, which I thought was a very elegant and neat way of using AI in a way that I haven't seen others do. And the example is, insurance claims. They get denied apparently because of clerical error. So there is this dusted data set sitting in pretty much every business line. No one is touching, no one is daring to touch. But this company has figured out a way to use AI to read this data, either correct it or, make sense of it. But creating or extracting a ton of value for the patients, healthcare systems, and payers. And, you don't need to reinvent a whole new model or, architecture. You can basically think about all this data that has been accumulated in the businesses and enterprises and how much value is sort of hidden there. And that may be an easy way to get into the space, all the while solving a real world problem.
Great. All right. Thank you.
Of course, my pleasure.